these keyboards can be played by a pro like Bert Schulenberg, but the question remains, what good is it for you? What can you do with this? And the main purpose of these workstations is to develop your musical ability, develop your talent. And this setup is really good for doing this. I'm just an amateur musician. I have no innate or born with talent, and yet I have a lot of fun with this setup of mine. This is a Mo 6 keyboard. This is you can get these used now for $300 or $400. This is about 11 years old. This is a Yamaha XS. This is with a lot of preset arrangements that you can just play on top of. This is the older version. They have a new one out now called the XF, but this is the old XS. You can get these used for about $1,200. And this software program, and I'll show you a close-up of it in a little while, is called Studio One. Studio One you can get with a condenser microphone. Remember, a condenser microphone is better quality than the kind that you just plug in with a jack to an amp. This has to have an external power source, but this is both a mixer and an external power source, which is created by a company called PreSonus. And PreSonus will give you this kit, which comes with the mic, the mixer, headphones, and the software Studio One, all for about $250, and it's a really great deal. The computer I'm using is a 3-year-old i7 that I built, and there is nothing unusually good about it. It's all just standard hard drives, and the sound card is not even an external sound card. It's just the one that came with the motherboard. The mixer, of course, you can output directly to your amp, or you can use a USB cord to output it directly into the computer. This is a big advantage because you're taking analog waveforms and this box is converting it to digital. Studio One and the PreSonus software work with that digital sort of musical quality preserving format, and then you can output it in what's called a mixdown to a WAV file that is 32-bit, and of course you can't put that directly onto a CD. I take the 32-bit output and open that in a cheaper program, one called Sony Acid, and Sony Acid will convert that 32-bit WAV file to a 16-bit that you can put on a CD, and also convert it to a MP3. So this is a great setup for the money. The amp is just a standard Roland amp. It maybe costs $300. So what can it do? Okay, this is something I was working on today, and now, so all these musical sounds are from the SX, and the SX has probably 30 guitar sounds that are acoustical guitar, and probably another 50 that are some type of electrical guitar. So you can pretty much find whatever guitar you're looking for, you can find it on the SX, and just play it lay down your track, and then switch to the drum track, lay down the drum track, and although these have built-in sequencers, the software gives you a lot better abilities, because you only have to play something once and you can repeat it over and over again. You can cut it up if you weren't quite precise being on tempo. You can individually cut your notes up and spread them out, or tighten them up, or you can do it all at once with the ability of changing the clock speed on individual clips. So this is an amateur program. This Studio One only costs about $99, and yet it is very good. It is better than Sony Acid. It's better than the standard Cakewalk. And what's the most fabulous thing about it is, even if you cut up one of these tracks a lot and you start getting clicks in between your cuts, you can just drag the track over to cross the gap and eliminate that click. Or if you want to do it all at once, it has an ability to take out all the in-between nothing sound, just the amp humming or whatever. It has an ability to take it all out all at once on a track. So it's a very good program for an amateur. And here we'll open up. This is one of my favorite sax sounds. Now, of course, a keyboard is not going to be able to play a sax, as good as a really great artist can play the sax. And yet, this is pretty good, and it's, for what your purposes are, which is to develop your musical talent and your ability to compose music, this is all you need. See, with this kind of equipment, this is really all an amateur needs to really develop some kind of musical ability. Remember, the music business is a very tough business to break into. I worked for a few years as an agent's assistant for a booking agency, and played jazz at night in New York. Needless to say, I never made a dime playing jazz at night in New York, but the booking agency made a fair amount of money. An agent's assistant doesn't make out very good, but at least it was an introduction to the professional music business. It was all rock and roll bands, and I got to go backstage, and that was kind of interesting to see the nutcases boozing it up and doing drugs in the back rooms before they went out on stage. But you know, music can be a really great hobby for you to develop some abilities with, and who knows, you might have more talent than I ever did and eventually make some money in the business. But the main feature of this setup, of course, is to compose your own music. And you know, anybody can play Schubert's Fugue in B minor if they can read sheet music, but not everybody can really compose something, and it has a certain dynamic quality to it where it's loud and soft and quiet, and maybe the tempo changes, and there's different instruments that come in and fade out. That's really the secret of really great music. And you don't have to have a good voice these days. Let me tell you, some of these singers have terrible voices, but they have special effects in the programs that make their voice sound a lot better than it really is. Certainly giving it a more dynamic range and a lot stronger quality. So don't worry if you're a bad musician. If you just stick with it, you can usually develop some kind of satisfaction. You know, you'll have a greater appreciation for any music that you listen to. When you break it down, you understand, say, salsa, how complex the structure of a salsa song is. You can really appreciate it when you dance to it. And you know, the sky's the limit, right?